ZNT Dynamite. Sounds like we have an official name, my friends, after all this time. We figured it out. There we go. But fittingly enough, Fight for the Fallen, another episode of Dynamite. Fittingly enough.
Yes, here we are back again to talk about All Elite Wrestling. And you know what? I got to apologize right off the bat. I know on this podcast, on ZNT, I've given AEW a lot of shit, especially the past couple of years. And I really nitpicked at their product. But that's the thing. I have nitpicks towards AEW.
Yep.
After hearing about the disgusting things WWE's done in the past 6 months, I'm sorry, gloves are off. I'm very pissed off at WWE right now. I know that's like a real, well, join the club. How long, what rock have you been wondering? I've always given WWE the benefit of the doubt, but after release, after release, after release, after terrible booking decision here, terrible booking decision there, let's drop out the NXT champion on night one. Let's drop out Keith Lee 2 times in a row after he's come back. Let's not book, you know, obvious stars right. Let's just sell out to the big corporations. AEW is just a fucking breath of fresh air.
Really
and this
is.
episode of Dynamite was really a breath of fresh air. And yes, I have nitpicks towards Fight for the Fallen, but that's what they are. Nitpicks. And I feel like with wrestling, that all should be. I should not be tearing my hair out watching Monday Night Raw every week, but here I am. But
that's
Dynamite
what we're here
has
for.
been a breath of fresh air.
That's what
breath
we're here
of
for.
Fresh air.
Constructive criticism the whole way through. And AEW, I've got some nitpicks as well, but I'm in the same boat. I am not very happy with WWE right now and how they're dealing with all these releases, especially with the news today, the shocking news that of Bray Wyatt's release. Which is just, I think that's a straw that broke the camel's back for me. I mean, you know, I was pissed off when they released Miro last year trying to get budget cuts. I was pissed off when they released, what's his face? Matt Cardona for release cuts. You know, he was over as a motherfucker. I was pissed off when they released the Good Brothers, but you know, The Fiend, he was one of the most over acts in WWE over the last couple of years, and it's just baffling to me. I don't know if this is
you know, especially with this year, we had, you know, Mickey James. That sucked. We had the Iconics. That was, you know, a real kick in the nuts. We had Ruby Riott. We had, you know, and then as it kept going, we had Braun Strowman. We had Malachi Black. We had, you know, all these releases. And after every one, I was like, you know what? It sucks. This is terrible. I'll get over it. Bray Wyatt
makes no sense.
No,
but
when you have a man, and I know we wanted to save this till after Fight for the Fallen, but since we're on the topic now, let's talk about it now. When you have a man who has the talent of Bray Wyatt, who's able to produce an original character like the Eater of Worlds, to produce an original stable like the Wyatt family, to get Eric Rowan over, to get Luke Harper over, to reinvent himself when that gimmick was getting stale in The Fiend, and not just The Fiend, but the Firefly Funhouse, the most original, most absolutely insane idea I've seen come out of WWE since Matt Hardy reinvented himself in Impact Wrestling, broken Matt Hardy, you know, to, you know, being the most over character in the company. And even though WWE tried to snuff him out by feeding him to Goldberg, by, you know, these terrible booking decisions they went going into WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt takes personal time off to cope with the loss of his friend, Luke Harper, who passed away, and they fire him.
Yeah. Just greedy. And I actually did see a tweet right before I hit go from Evil Uno, reacting to the news of The Fiend's release, and he was saying, release? Oh, they should join the Dark Order. Repeat. You know, I feel like Bray Wyatt would be a perfectly fitting leader for the Dark Order. But in any regard, I mean, this is just speculation and fantasy booking at this time. If you're new to the channel and this new game that we play here on the ZNT Wrestling Show, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us get this content out there. Hit that thumbs up as well. I think we're bound to have some really interesting discussions about Fight for the Fallen here, which actually kicks off. Funny enough, I mentioned the Dark Order. Perfect segue. A 10-man elimination tag team match. Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order going up against the Elite Squad. Shout out to the Elite. Shout out to the Elite real quick for the Space Jam uniforms that they had. Awesome.
Before we get into that, because I do have a tiny nitpick with that, I believe Hangman Adam Page was joined by Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver representing the Dark Order. Mm-hmm. And yes, that was cool, the entrances, but don't you think that's more suited for a babyface?
Yeah, they're heels. Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally
if they wanted to come out as the Monstars, that would have been cool.
Yes.
Again,
oh my God, I would have loved that.
It was a fun throwback. Kenny Omega has been guilty of cosplaying as Sans the Skeleton. The Best Friends have been guilty of dressing up like Rick and Morty on an episode of Dynamite. Yep. Considering the controversy or the mixed reviews Space Jam: A New Legacy has gotten, I just felt like it was so fitting.
I know.
Listen,
it was mixed reviews. I liked Space Jam: A New Legacy. Believe it or not, it's coming on the wall once that Blu-ray comes out. Trust me on that. But I mean, yeah, you're right. They're heels. They're coming out to y'all ready for this, and I'm popping huge for that. How Tony Khan worked his wizardry to get the royalties for that damn song, like. Wonderful. Exactly. Yeah.
He's got the money.
Here comes the money.
Is the $1 million baby.
Of course. We're not going to talk about that movie. But
the stipulation for this match is, as we talked about in our reviews a past couple of weeks ago, Kenny Omega has given Hangman Adam Page his opportunity. If Page and the Dark Order can defeat the Elite, Hangman Page will get the AEW World Championship match that he has been clamoring for all these months. If the Elite win, now correct me if I'm wrong, I could have sworn it's that Page can't challenge for the world title. But I think on commentary they said if Page loses, he loses his number one spot. Because Page is the number one ranked wrestler right now. I think he just loses his spot. Yes. I think I misheard or I got, my sources were incorrect. I thought it was the Cody Rhodes stipulation. But no, I think Page just has to go to the back of the line.
Yeah, he has to. Yeah, he has to go to the back of the line. Essentially, you are correct there in terms of the ladder. So, I mean, spoiler alert: this is pretty interesting the way this match all plays out. But it's your typical like Survivor Series style match. You're getting some really nice sequences thrown in there. Loud cowboy shit chants. This crowd in Charlotte, North Carolina, was all into Hangman Page's offense. They loves the man. And we all do. We all love Hangman Page. But there was a really, really nice sequence with the Good Brothers, Reynolds and Silver. Just immaculate wrestling there. Machine Gun rolls up. Reynolds, go ahead.
Yeah. Did this feel like a PWG match to you?
A little bit.
It did to me.
A little bit. Yeah. Not in terms of like the comedy spots. This wasn't like a Bola 10-man tag where they're going in slow motion or anything like that.
Considering you got Omega, Page, Anderson Gallows, the Bucks, Evil Uno, John Silver. I just felt like you could put these guys in a PWG environment and they would just thrive because they had the 10-man suplex spot they did a couple years ago on Dynamite. I forgot what match it was, but they did that spot. There was a lot of insanity going on here. I think. Was Reynolds the first one eliminated?
He was. That's what I was getting to. Machine Gun rolls him up with tights, and then Reynolds is thrown out of there. But shortly afterwards, Stu Grayson hits his finisher on Carl Anderson, allowing Evil Uno to pin the Machine Gun there. So we're even at 4-4. John Silver was tossing Matt Jackson all over the ring. He was treating him like a cruiserweight. And if you look at John Silver, I think he's smaller than Matt Jackson.
He is. Man. Silver is known for being short but very powerful. And it is mentioned on commentary, this is Silver's first match since injuring his shoulder, I think, against Miro when he challenged him for the TNT title.
Yeah.
So this is Silver's big comeback. Man, talk about the most over member of the Dark Order. The crowd loves Silver.
They love Silver, but actually thinking about his like stature and his wrestling style, don't you think he'd be an excellent fit with Team Taz down the line? Like if he turned on the Dark Order, and he became Taz.
That's an idea.
He
does have a very Taz-like
stature. he feels like a Taz right now. Like he's throwing suplexes everywhere, just tossing poor Matt Jackson all over the place, just like Taz would in old school ECW. I don't know. It's just an idea.
Something to think about.
Yeah. Stu Grayson and Doc Gallows were both counted out at the same time. I mean, I guess that's a way to keep both of them looking strong. But, I mean, of all people to be counted out, like, those two could have been pinned easily.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely, you could tell they wanted to protect the elite as much as possible. And, unfortunately, in an elimination match, some people got to get pinned.
They do.
So I think, Gallows being the big heavy of the elite, they wanted to, protect him a little more because it was Gallows who pinned Frankie Kazarian clean last week on a Fyter Fest night 2.
That's right. Yep. I should have. I wanted Kazarian to win that match, but they put Gallows over clean as a whistle. Kenny Omega, who was wearing number 23 on his jersey, and Don Callis referred to him as the Michael Jordan of professional wrestling. That'll get him booed. That'll get him booed.
Absolutely.
Yep. But he does hit a very impressive one-winged angel on Evil Uno to get rid of him. It's down to, I believe it's Omega and the Bucks against Hangman and Silver. Good booking.
Very fitting. Very good. And excellent. I liked how it took the one-winged angel to take out Evil Uno, because like I said, Evil Uno is kind of reassumed his position as the leader of the Dark Order.
Yep.
So it's good they're keeping him strong. And again, I never thought I could say that a man named Evil Uno could work so well as a babyface, but here he is.
He does. I mean, if you watch his streams with New Legacy Inc., like, he's a fitting babyface for sure. And he's funny. He's naturally
Absolutely,
funny.
Yep.
So, speaking of naturally funny, okay, one of my favorite spots of the match, and I have all the respect in the world for the Bucks to try and make this like visual as clean as possible, but it just didn't work. This was just a test run. Matt has John Silver in position for the Meltzer driver outside the ring, and Doc Gallows moves a basketball hoop that was at ringside for their entrance. He moves it right directly over where Matt Jackson has Silver in position for the Indie Taker, and then Kenny tosses Nick a basketball. Nick springboards off of the Meltzer driver. The Meltzer driver connects, not with as big of an impact as you'd expect, but he misses the slam dunk. And I was like, man, if he had actually made that, the crowd would have gone berserk. But instead, they're chanting, "You still miss" at Nick. And he is just not happy with this crowd. Not happy at all.
That was great. That spot was purely invented just to piss the fans off. Because how pompous of an asshole do you have to be to not only do a move that doesn't make any sense in the Indie Taker, but on top of that, try to slam dunk a basketball at the same time?
Oh, I would give that.
The Bucks are awful.
Listen, if that move had hit with the slam dunk, I would give that move 6 stars on the Meltzer scale. But yeah, John Silver is pinned after a BTE trigger, leaving Adam Page to fight them 3-on-1. There is a super kick party, and Hangman Page kicks out. The crowd is way into his offense. He hits the buckshot lariat to eliminate Matt Jackson. It's down to 2-on-1, and Page almost pins Omega at some point, which would have been really, really awesome.
Because I don't think Omega's been pinned since... I don't remember the last time Omega's been pinned.
I know Omega's lost with the promotion before. I know he.
Oh yeah,
they lost the tag titles. He
has not been pinned.
He hasn't been pinned in months.
Since he won the world title in December.
Yeah, it's
been at least that long. And I know he beat Page to get the title shot. He beat Sonny Kiss in like 10 seconds to advance on to the tournament. Before that,
I don't
Omega easily has to be the most protected man in AEW right now.
One of them.
Next to Chris Jericho.
One of them, at least. Absolutely. But Kenny Omega at some point nails Adam Page with the championship. That's not a 3 count. But then you get 2 V-triggers, one more one-winged angel. And what the fuck? Adam Page is pinned. This crowd did not like this finish at all. Tomas didn't like this finish. I didn't like this
very
finish.
Interesting decision. Because now that I realize, okay, when I was watching this match, I was pissed because How do you take the most over babyface in AEW and Hangman Adam Page, and we all see the writing on the wall? We all want Page versus Omega at All Out.
Yep.
And how do you say, no, you don't get a world title shot now?
No.
But now that I know the real stipulation, I know this may sound a little counterproductive, but who's to say? We still have a lot of time before All Out. So why make the match like 6-7 weeks in advance when they could keep us on our toes, make us think Page is not going to get that title shot?
Yeah.
But he'll find his way. Maybe in the next couple weeks, Omega said, you know what? I told you if you lost, you were going to get it. But if you really want this title shot, we're going to make you work for it. How about you face all 5 members of the Elite in a gauntlet match?
Yeah.
Make him earn it.
But then
make us feel like Page is not going to get this title shot.
That's true.
We still have time. We still have like 6-7 weeks before the pay-per-view.
Wouldn't that feel kind of repetitive, though, him running the gauntlet to get this title shot? Because Chris Jericho is kind of doing the same thing, running the gauntlet, 5 labors of Jericho, just to get a one-on-one match with MJF, presumably at All Out. But
Good point.
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference between what they're doing with Jericho and making Page fight all the Elite in a row, same night. It's an idea. It's just an idea, just to say, like, we think right now Page is not going to get that title shot, but we just have so much time before the pay-per-view. We still have some time to kill. So why not build up the anticipation, like a better version of what they did with John Cena and Roman Reigns, instead of just, that's another topic for another time. That's a little wonky and a little fucked up what they did there on SmackDown last night.
Yeah.
But, you know, make us anticipate, not make it so predictable. Like, I feel like we know we're going to get Page Omega at All Out, but why make it official now?
I mean, maybe not even
have 7 weeks of build.
Maybe not even at All Out. I have a theory. Like, they could stretch the Omega Page thing out to full gear if they wanted to, and have Adam Page get his heat back. Have Page get his heat back, and then he wins the title towards the end of the year after Omega holds it for like over a year at that point. But I don't know. I feel like this was the wrong finish. I don't know how Omega versus Page wasn't the plan. If it wasn't the plan for All Out, I don't know what they were thinking. I'm giving this match,
theory is,
I'm giving this match a 4 out of 5, though. This was very fun.
My theory is, unless they have something crazier planned for All Out, which I have a couple ideas, but I just don't feel like they're going to do it that soon. I just feel like Page and Omega needs to happen. They just didn't want to do 6 or 7 weeks of build. They want to make us wait. Make us think that Page is not going to get that title shot. When all, you know, this match needs to happen. This match is like,
it's money.
3 years in the making.
It's money, man. And the crowd is totally behind Hangman. I feel like he's going to be the guy to end Omega's reign anyway. But again, only time will tell. We'll see what happens. This was a very fun opener. But we do go backstage, and Pac is getting interviewed by Alex Marvez, and he's confronted by Andrade El Idolo and Chavo Guerrero, and it's pretty much building up to their eventual fight. I'm assuming at All Out as well. No Death Triangle present there, which was interesting. No Death Triangle. It was just Pac all by himself.
Foreshadowing.
Yep, I think you called it. I think
we might get the Lucha Bros. The Lucha Bros may already be in cahoots with Andrade right now. Again, time will tell. We'll see what ends up happening with that. I just think, considering Andrade already has a mouthpiece, and considering just the sheer presence Andrade brings, you know, you have the presence of Andrade, you have the mouthpiece that is Chavo. I just feel like in this feud, it doesn't make sense for the Lucha Bros to be on the opposite side of Andrade. Again, I like the Lucha Bros better as heels. I feel like, you know, and AEW is so faction happy right now. Again, let's see. Again, just like you said, time will tell.
They are faction happy. I think that's because I'm hearing a rumor. I don't know if this is true, but I'm hearing a rumor that Tony Khan actually wants to introduce trios tag team titles down the line, which I don't know if that, I know ROH did that for a little while, but I don't know how effective it was. I don't even know if the trios tag titles still exist over there, but
they do. But I feel like AEW could establish better trios.
Well, they already have a good amount of them. I mean, Andrade and the Lucha Bros are going to be one. The Jurassic Express is an extremely popular trio who still has yet to win the tag titles.
We're going to talk about HFO in the same match.
Yep. There you go.
You know, the Dark Order has like 3 trios in there. So
Sheesh,
that's not something I would necessarily be against.
Yeah, me neither. Something else I wouldn't be against is this Ricky Starks FTW Championship celebration. Taz gives this overly obnoxious introduction for absolute Ricky Starks, who comes out with the fake FTW title, christened as the new figurehead of Team Taz. He gets a full brass band to play Starks to the ring, New Orleans style, because Starks is from the area. And Starks basically cuts this promo running Brian Cage down. And, of course, Brian Cage eventually interrupts. And that leads to him beating the shiznit out of this brass band. And I did write down a few quotes from JR that I couldn't help but laugh at. I'm just going to go ahead and read them for everybody, if you don't mind. Not the trombone guy. That bass drum has a family. There's no place for trombones in wrestling.
Direct shot at the New Day.
Austin Creed has something to say about that, Ross. He's got something to say to that.
I was like, ouch, JR.
Jesus.
You got something against the New Day or something?
He does have something against the New Day, surely.
These guys, though, these band players, they took some bumps for Cage. That guy that had the bass drum.
F500 everywhere. Yeah, the bass drum. Oh my God. How is that guy not bleeding?
Exactly. Yeah. Like was that drum not gigged? It broke under the bottom, but
well, you know what it made me think of was
he folded like an accordion.
It made me think of, this is going to be a really obscure reference, but do you remember watching the first ever Inferno match that Undertaker and Kane had back in '98? And they had a whole sequence where Taker chased Paul Bearer to the entranceway, and there was a bunch of musical instruments on the stage for some reason. And Undertaker gigs Paul Bearer with a bass drum, and it cut Paul Bearer open. So, like, I don't know. Again, very obscure reference. If you know what I'm talking about.
Who would have thought that band instruments would have been involved in an Inferno match? Don't give WWE any ideas. Please. Just a very depressing reminder that they released Bray Wyatt, but Vince thinks Jackson Riker is money.
After they burned him to a fucking crisp. Like, seriously.
I know, that was very off topic, but sinister thoughts need to be shared.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, speaking of sinister and speaking of ouch, what do we got next?
What do we have next?
It's okay. I got it. Proud and Powerful versus FTR. First time ever tag team match here. So, this match, I'll just say this. The wrestlers did all they could given this situation, and the wrestling was very good up until what happened. But
yeah, and you know, let's get right off the bat. One of the nitpicks I do have with AEW is that for some reason they have the best tag team division in the world, but very, very, very rarely do you see an established team versus an established team. I feel like it's always an established team versus 2 guys that are thrown together. One half of one tag team and one half of a faction versus the same. You know, I feel like we don't get, in the beginning, we were getting the Bucks versus Private Party. We were getting the Lucha Bros versus
the Lucha Bros versus the Bucks in a ladder match. We were getting the Lucha Bros versus FTR.
We're getting the hybrid. You know, we would get, for some reason now we rarely get that. So
best friends versus the Acclaimed. You know, that's just.
I almost said Impact for some reason. AEW has been hyping up FTR versus Ortiz and Santana, 2 established tag teams. And I was like, yes, finally, we need more stuff like this. And then, unfortunately, the match doesn't really get to take off. It was fine for what it was, but something very unfortunate happens at the end that kind of kills the match. But you know, they saw something was wrong, and just like we were talking about in the No Way Out review, they were professionals. They caught on right away. they took the match home when they should have. And
yeah.
tell us what happened in this match.
I don't know exactly. I didn't write it down word for word because I didn't even fully realize that Cash Wheeler was hurt. But this was not on anybody whatsoever. This was a freak accident if I ever saw one after watching the tape
I
back.
believe Harwood and Ortiz were fighting on the top rope. And then Wheeler and Santana were fighting on the other corner. I don't know what exactly happened. I think Wheeler went for a clothesline and Santana ducked, but Wheeler's arm just smashes right into the steel pole. And immediately, Wheeler's hurt. You see it on his face. He drops to the floor. He starts shaking his wrist. He looks down on his wrist. He looks up and he starts walking. And know something's wrong at that point. He kind of just goes over to the trainer, gets checked out. And if anyone wants to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's Ortiz and Harwood. They keep wrestling. They wrestle for a little bit longer. Harwood hits a brainbuster on Ortiz. The match gets taken home. Obviously, that wasn't the finish.
No.
They saw Wheeler was hurt. They weren't going to continue the match without him.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
It does. It's very unfortunate. I really do hope Cash Wheeler is okay because his forearm was bleeding. I didn't see any bone sticking out, which is good news. It might have just been like a slash injury. So might have just been a freak accident involving the top turnbuckle. But match was fine for what it was. They'll have a better match that'll live up to the hype once Cash Wheeler heals up, I think. But yeah, 2 3/4 out of 5 for me. But for what it was fine. Credit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, we know these two teams can wrestle a 5-star classic. Another night.
Yes.
Another night. But in the meantime, AEW, you have a lot, and I mean a lot, of established tag teams. Bring back the tag division. Please.
Them.
I don't want to see Matt Jackson and Doc Gallows versus Best Friends. I don't want to see Orange Cassidy and Trent versus
Christian
and Angelico and the Blade. I don't want to see that. I want to see the Jurassic Express versus Santana and Ortiz. I want to see FTR. These are just examples that I want to see. I want to see a goddamn tag division.
Do you remember who the Young Bucks wrestled it all out last year? The Jurassic Express. And it was one of the best matches on that show.
Yeah, because it was an established tag team versus an established tag team.
Yep.
AEW, please.
Yeah.
Why do you do this to us? And again, that's a nitpick. Because over on WWE, we have like maybe 2 established tag teams.
You get Natalia and Tamina. You get Edge and Dominic Mysterio versus the Usos. You get I don't fucking know. But in any case,
same thing goes with WWE. We got 2 established tag teams at
the
Money in the
Street
Bank.
Profits.
And it brought the house down.
Dude. Yeah, but
but I digress.
In any case, yeah, we got a big topic to talk about up next here. So Tony Khan announces that AEW Rampage The First Dance, which is oddly enough the second episode of Rampage, airing Friday nights on TNT. It is announced for August 20th at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, which is where the Bulls play their games. And immediately, the crowd starts chanting as loud as they can, CM Punk. And the crowd
funny?
Zoom in on a guy in the front row chanting CM Punk at the top of his lungs. And pretty much like Tony Khan obviously has to keep this a surprise. But, I mean, this is pretty much them telling us that CM Punk is coming to the promotion.
When Shivani made the announcement, I didn't think much of it just because they always announce where they're going to go. And they said, the United, the arena in Chicago. And I kind of sat there. I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then I had to sit there for a second and let that process. And I go, they're doing
building.
that
it's a big
for
building.
A reason. And if you're like me, and if you're of the skeptical kind that think CM Punk has been out of the pro wrestling scene in 8 years, I'll believe it when I see it. I got my proof when they go backstage to Darby Allin and Sting.
Such a good promo.
Asking Allin about Rampage in Chicago. And Allin says, of course I'm going to be at Rampage in Chicago because I want to prove that I'm the best in the world. The minute he said that, I was like, this is all but confirmed.
Yeah.
This is all but confirmed. Why would they say that?
It's probably going to be what's going to happen is CM Punk is going to come out to a hero's welcome in his hometown. Darby Allin's going to interrupt him, and that's going to be your match for All Out. That's CM Punk's debut with the promotion. And also, this is the real kicker for me. Not necessarily the fact that it's the United Center in Chicago, which is a huge building. It can house like 20,000 people for a Bulls game. I don't know if there's going to be that many for All Elite, but, you know, it's CM Punk's hometown. It's a big building in Chicago, and it's also the night before SummerSlam. So I think AEW is going to want to do something big to counteract that. And CM Punk really, like, it doesn't really get a whole lot bigger than that. The guy who's been out of the business for 8 years.
It's all but confirmed.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the pop that he gets, and I'm sure he's going to be so excited. But with that in mind, we do have a few more matches to talk about on this show. I'm sure we're going to be talking a bit more about CM Punk down the line. I can't wait. But we do get Lance Archer defending his brand new IWGP Heavyweight US title against Hikuleo. That's the name of the guy. And he is the son of Haku, King Haku, or Meng, the face of fear. And Hikuleo is actually accompanied by Haku. It was so cool to see him. He got a really
Are you ready? Are you ready for me to lose some wrestling fan points?
Yes. Yes, I'm ready.
So, again, he's before my time, but I went back and I watched every single WCW pay-per-view, every WWE pay-per-view years ago. And you know what revelation I kind of had in my mind?
What's that?
I don't get the hype behind Haku.
Oh, man. I mean, his matches...
I don't get the hype.
His matches weren't, like, outstanding or anything like that, but, like, him portraying, like, a savage-type character, there was... In my opinion, there might not have been anybody better until Umaga came along in 2006. Like,
you know,
Umaga
maybe he's just before my time.
Maybe.
But I just, even nowadays, so many fans put Haku on a pedestal. And even JR went out of his way to say what he was the toughest man in professional wrestling, like in history. I was like, you know what? To each their own. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Haku's a legend in his own mind.
Yeah.
I mean, not in his own mind, in his own right. Haku is a legend. But I don't know. I never understood the hype behind King Haku.
And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. But you know what was really strange is Lance Archer comes out to the ring all by himself. No Jake Roberts to counteract Haku for some reason. I don't know if Jake Roberts had tested positive for COVID-19 and he wasn't on the show for whatever reason. But
I mean, I wouldn't just assume that all the time. Maybe
I know.
Just wasn't on the show.
Maybe. You know, I must ask this question though again to all of the viewers. How is Lance Archer a babyface? How?
You know, I know I shit on Archer the past couple episodes, but his theme song's cool. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it is cool, but like that's about it though. I mean, this match, this is JR said that this match is bowling shoe ugly. That was pretty much his nice way of saying that this match wasn't good. And I'm sure
this sure as hell wasn't the United States Championship match we got last week. Nope. And you know what? It sure as hell wasn't the United States Championship match we got between Moxley and Carl Anderson a couple weeks ago.
Sure as hell is not going to be the U.S. title match we're going to get with Hiroshi Tanahashi coming in for a few guest appearances. And the rumor is it's Tanahashi versus Moxley at All Out, which should be interesting. But
yeah, we'll get to that in a second because I actually have a theory about that match. But apparently Archer's going to Japan to defend the title against Tanahashi. But we're not going to get that match on AEW. So it just sucks that this is the match we're getting on TV. Maybe
what they do is they have Archer just be a transitional champion for Tanahashi to get the one title he's never won with New Japan.
Yeah.
And then he defends it against Moxley at All Out.
New Japan has a pay-per-view coming up in a few weeks. I don't know if that's going to be on the show, but
not sure.
I know Impact, they confirmed a couple of matches. No, they confirmed Kenny Omega is going to defend the Impact World title at Emergence. Think about that. An AEW wrestler is going to defend the Impact World title at a New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view. Welcome to 2021, everybody.
Welcome to the pro wrestling mindfuck of 2021 there. But
let that simmer.
Oh, hey, you want another nitpick about this match? You cut to the commercial break in picture, and that's when you get the Haku interference in the picture. That was not very good timing on their part. And they
also, this just goes back to my I don't get the hype behind Haku. Haku just throat chops Archer, and that's enough for Archer to take heat for the rest of the match.
Yeah. Off of
goddamn, did Archer sell for Haku?
He really was. But match is okay, I suppose. Archer hits a superplex, and then he eventually hits the blackout for a 3 count. Two and a quarter, maybe. I appreciated that this was at least a different Haas fight than we're used to, but this is certainly not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Super predictable. Another nitpick I have about wrestling in general, I don't like when there's a title match and then someone comes out and says, I want the winner of this title match, because it just kind of makes it predictable. You can kind of see the writing on the wall with that. And it kind of just automatically assumes that the champion's not going to get a rematch. So
tell me this then. Would you have rather had Tanahashi call dibs on the U.S. title after the match?
Yeah, I wish all wrestlers would do that. And again, with this match, they already announced that this match was going to happen. They just didn't know who was going to be defending. Mm-hmm. It was just, I don't know, a little odd. But like you said, Tanahashi does challenge the United States champion to a match. Moxley then cuts a promo saying Tanahashi has been ducking him the past few months, and that Tanahashi has been, isn't it coincidental that Tanahashi waited for Moxley to lose the title before challenging for that championship?
He gives a good point.
I'm calling it now. Moxley might be turning heel.
Maybe. Yeah, you know what? I would not be opposed to a Moxley heel turn.
That was a very heelish promo.
It really was.
For Moxley to just straight up call Tanahashi a coward like that.
Pissed off. Well, I mean, with CM Punk and potentially Bryan Danielson coming into the promotion, you got to offset that, and you got to turn somebody heel, somebody heel, and Moxley does play a heel very well. So, I don't know. Wouldn't be opposed to that, but it looks like it's Tanahashi versus Moxley at All Out. Speaking of big heated rivalries, I should note that in Charlotte, North Carolina, where this man has been billed from for quite some time during his stint with WWE, Cody Rhodes gets loud boos from the Bojangles Arena. They are heavily behind Malachi Black. Listen to the people, Tony. Put Malachi over on Wednesday.
Oh, please. That's all I could think during this brawl was Malachi Black has to go over next week. It does kind of bug me that they're going back to Daly's place already, 1 month after they ended their stint there. I think there's a reason why. I think that show was originally supposed to be in Pittsburgh.
Atlanta or Pittsburgh?
No, Atlanta. I think it was in Atlanta. They had to unfortunately push the show back a month. So I think Daly's place is going to be their go-to.
Yeah,
if that happens.
I know,
but that's your big main event for next week.
Yeah, I know Pittsburgh is hosting episode 1 of Rampage. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Hopefully Malachi goes over.
But yeah, seeing the fact that Cody Rhodes was getting booed so much, Tony Khan, you may want to, no, Cody Rhodes, pull back on yourself a little. You're not as over as you think you are. We didn't love you the same way we did in 2018.
Oh, man. There you go.
Just saying.
Speaking of loving wrestlers, Tomas, we have a really nice 6-man tag team match. The Hardy Family Office, made up of Angelico and Private Party, going up against Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express. Would you listen to this crowd sing the Tarzan Boy song again? And would you suggest to turn Jungle Boy face after hearing that?
I'm just saying, someone's turning heel, and Jungle Boy's the one being a little jealous right now.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
We'll just have to wait and see. But this match was originally supposed to be the Jurassic Express versus HFO. They showed some footage. I think Marco Stunt got attacked before the match, so that's why Christian Cage is taking his place. Again, I know Christian Cage is a big part of this storyline, but wouldn't it be cool to see the original trio of Jurassic Express for once?
Would be very good. And so Jungle Boy was out of this world in this match, as he usually is. Jungle Jack Perry, he's fantastic. Beautiful drop kicks everywhere. But for some reason, towards the beginning of this match, I had this random shower thought, if you'll indulge me for a minute. When will Jungle Boy become Jungle Man? Like, is he just going to be Jungle Boy for the rest of his career? Like, come on. I don't know. He's got to be Jungle Man at some point. Like, I don't know.
That's gonna bug me now. I'm gonna think about that.
Right? It's bugging me. It's bugging me just laughing about it right now. But like,
I don't want to be called Jungle Boy. I want to be called Jungle Man.
I'm just a jungle man. Jungle man. But anyway. Yeah, so Matt Hardy tries to get involved at some point. Marco Stunt, of all people, chases Matt Hardy to the back. And poor Marco Stunt loses a shoe on the way chasing Matt to the back. That poor guy is just, oh boy.
He's an interesting fellow.
Yeah, you know who else is an interesting fellow? Luchasaurus. The crowd was so behind this motherfucker because he German suplexes all three of his rivals at the same time. I've never seen that before. Like,
here's a random thing I've had ever since I started watching AEW. I think at one point Luchasaurus needs to be the AEW World Champion. I fucking love him. I fucking love Luchasaurus. He is the perfect big man in AEW.
He's so over. Yeah, he German suplexed all three of his opponents, and even Christian Cage standing on the apron can't believe it. But it does lead into your finish. Luchasaurus hits a choke slam on one of these fools on the other side of the ring. Christian Cage hits a frog splash, and he gets the Duke, retaining his undefeated streak that the announcers were plugging like nobody's business. And that actually leads me into that theory I was talking about towards the beginning of this pod, my friend. Do you think Christian Cage might be the guy to face Omega at All Out if they're teasing it this much? Like, it would be a good match.
I would rather see Page.
I would too. Ever
since Christian Cage debuted, everyone has been making the point saying, don't do what Impact did. And every single WWE guy that comes in, you give a world title match. And I do agree with that, because I do think it's a little unfair. Is it a big marquee match? Absolutely. But I feel like there's too much talent on AEW that they have to resort to that. And I just feel like Page is the bigger story. I do think we are going to get Christian versus Omega at some point. Do it on an episode of Dynamite. Do it at Bash of the Beach. Do it at one of these special AEWs.
Do it at Grand Slam.
I don't think Christian Cage should be main eventing a pay-per-view right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's an idea, though. I do think that match is going to happen at some point.
At some point. But I honestly think it could be the world title match for All Out, mainly because I do think the Omega Page story still has some legs to it. And they could honestly stretch the Page title match out to the next pay-per-view. But
if Christian gets that world title shot, does Jungle Boy cost him?
Oh, man, you're just... man, you know
it's
what?
An idea.
I'll tell you what. If that does happen, you get a prize. But
all right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you get a prize. So yeah, anybody who correctly predicts anything down in the comments can get a prize too. Just let me know. But we do also see a little bit of an aftermath. The Blade from the Hardy family office blasts Christian Cage with the Nux on the outside. See you at Homecoming next week. There you go.
Yeah, we'll probably get that match, and Christian Cage will win. And Blade, keep yourself busy until the Butcher's healed up.
Yep. Speaking of keeping oneself busy, up next is a match with a brand new AEW signee, even though we've seen her in the past. Thunder Rosa is going one-on-one with Julia Hart, who comes out with the Varsity Blondes.
AKA your high school crush. Everybody's high school crush.
Julia Hart is very cute, for sure. But in any case, this was unfortunately for me as a Julia Hart fan, but this was never in any doubt. This was the Thunder Rosa showcase. She just signed a brand spanking new AEW contract. She is the #1 contender for the women's world title right now. I mean, these chops by Thunder Rosa, good Christ, she's getting some sound out of those.
With this being said, with Thunder Rosa being signed to AEW officially, don't mean to brag, but I remember when Thunder Rosa wasn't even a wrestler. I remember seeing her at shows. I remember when she started training. I was in attendance when she won women's titles and other promotions. I have graciously interviewed her and have been dropkicked by her, which, ouch. And I have seen her go from America to Mexico to Japan, all over the world, into AEW, and I shit you not, less than 5 years. I am so proud of her. Holy shit, she has worked her ass off. Melissa, if you remember me, remember the guy that interviewed you and you dropped
breaking kayfabe here for sure. But
all right.
In any case, yeah, no, Thunder Rosa is phenomenal. She does. I mean, the result was never in any doubt. The match, I think it's fair to give this 2.25. She does hit the Fire Thunder driver for the victory. Pretty basic match to put Thunder Rosa over as Dr. Britt Baker's next challenger, probably at All Out. Maybe with a stipulation. I don't know how you top the Lights Out match, but
that's how. Remember, Lights Out doesn't count.
There you go. Absolutely.
So easily Baker can go into that match saying, "You never beat me. That match doesn't count."
Yeah, very true. Very true. That's going to be a catalyst for those promos, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to take this main event? Do you want to take this one?
Real quick, before we get into that main event, we get another promo by the TNT champion, Miro.
Oh,
and yes, again, Miro just cutting saying he's God's favorite wrestler. What did he say about his wife?
I think he called it. I don't even know. I don't know.
He said something about his wife being very flexible. And I'm not trying to be like cute and funny. I honest to God can't remember.
Of course,
he just
Miro
said something about, and I have a wife that can do the splits.
Of course, he would say
for that. Miro is defending the TNT title next week against Lee Johnson. Gee, I wonder who's gonna win.
Why? Why does Lee Johnson,
the dominant champion who has never lost a match and who is a monster, or the guy who they threw a freaking parade for when he won one match?
Why is Lee Johnson getting a title match now? Why? I don't understand it.
You know, you could make the argument for Dante Martin, but that was an open challenge, and Dante accepted. Yeah. Nothing against Lee Johnson, but that's like if you gave Kurt Hawkins a Universal title match just because. Nothing against Brian Myers. He's doing great in Impact.
While he was on his losing streak in 2019, that's when they would give it to him. It would be Seth Rollins versus Brian Myers on a random episode of Raw. But
yeah. Exactly. So, I wonder who's going to win that match next week.
I wonder.
Anywho, we talked about this last week. This has been highly anticipated.
Yeah.
It's the second labor of Jericho. And it's going to be the Painmaker, Chris Jericho, versus Nick fucking Gage in a death match.
The guy who murdered David Arquette one time. That guy.
A death match.
Yeah.
In the United States. On United States television.
The king of the death match.
What the hell is this? I was very intrigued to see how this match was going to go down. And this is my first time watching Gage wrestle, believe it or not. I have heard of him.
Yeah.
I know who he is. I know his reputation. I've never seen him actually wrestle. And you know what? I'm going to use that term very loosely. Not going to lie. The first few minutes of this match weren't really much. In death matches, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief. And you know what? It kind of threw me off to see these guys wrestle for the first 5 minutes.
Interesting.
Let's just say shit hits the fan real quick in this match.
It really does.
Gage pulls out the pizza cutter.
Yep. Before we get to that, though, can I give you a couple of notes, though? First off, the Jericho wasn't full-fledged with the Painmaker. Am I the only one that wants to see the Painmaker go one-on-one with Sting at some point? Or is that just me?
It's definitely Sting is definitely an opponent Jericho has to face.
Parallel
before he retires.
We've never gotten Sting versus Jericho one-on-one, if you can believe that.
Never in WCW, never in WWE. Never. AEW kind of has to be the place now.
Yes.
Now or never.
Also should note that MJF was on commentary and he walks out and he is the biggest bastard on the whole show. He's walking out. His nameplate says MJF right at the top, loving life. and he's walking out. He's sauntering to his shitty theme song with a bucket of popcorn. He's ready to watch Jericho get fucking murdered right before his eyes.
Yep. Gage pulls out the pizza cutter, and I'm not going to nitpick this spot. This is going to sound weird, but absolutely fucking disgusting to see Gage treat Chris Jericho like he was a pizza pie and slice his forehead with that pizza cutter. But 10 days prior to that, I saw Sami Callihan do that to Kenny Omega at Slammiversary. 3 or 4 days later, I saw Jon Moxley do that to Lance Archer in the Texas Death Match. Now I'm seeing Gage do it to Jericho, and I'm just like, I've seen this spot 3 times in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it kind of lost its. It kind of lost its. Don't do the pizza cutter all the time.
Yeah,
still fucking disgusting though, and Jericho's a fucking champ for taking it.
Yeah, rumor has it that Jericho put this entire match together, and I mean, if you're going into the ring with Nick fucking Gage, like, I wouldn't want to step into the ring with Nick Gage if someone other than me put the match together. So credit to that. And also give credit to Nick Gage where it's due. He's not the cleanest technical wrestler in the world. I'll just say that much.
Gage is not a wrestler in my opinion. No, he's a fighter.
At least he did the Michinoku driver at least a little bit cleanly, or the Falcon Arrow, whatever he hit. He hit it like proficiently at least. But yeah, shit does
Please
hit
tell me you saw.
After
Jericho used the pizza cutter. They went to commercial, and the first thing you saw was a Domino's commercial. Apparently, Domino's is pissed.
Oh my god!
Because they quote unquote didn't know it was going to happen, and now they're going to take their advertising somewhere else.
Oh
Let me tell you this, Domino's. I will order Domino's pizza for my all-out viewing party if you just shut the fuck up right now.
Oh man. Well, okay, listen, like, god damn it. Yeah, I
Please tell me you saw that.
Of course I did. Why do you think I'm laughing as hard as I am right now? But just the timing on that was just too perfect. But I mean, yeah. The only thing missing from this Nick Gage spot, aside from the Domino's commercial right after that spot, where were the "you sick fuck" chants from the crowd? Where were they?
Maybe the crowd was desensitized too, because again, we got that pizza cutter spot three times in the past 2 weeks.
Maybe that's in Nick Gage's contracts that the crowd cannot chant "you sick fuck" at him, or he will kill every single one of them.
Like, exactly.
But my God, there is so much Jericho blood everywhere. The man's 50 years old. Like, good.
I feel bad for the audience. I feel like AEW should have warned everybody who bought a ticket, if you're going to sit front row, please wear goggles, because the next few spots actually scared the shit out of me.
Yes.
Gage sets up
a pane of glass. And he is looking for quite the painful maneuver.
At the time, nor the place.
I know. MJF is absolutely
time nor the place.
MJF is giddy over this pane of glass, just like I am for that shitty ass pun. You're welcome. They fight on the top turnbuckle for a while. Jericho counters a Frankensteiner, and Nick Gage crashes through the glass. And what a sound that was. My lord. What a visual.
That panel of glass shattered. And I mean shattered. And that's what I mean. The audience should have worn goggles, because there was pieces of broken glass all around ringside. Yeah. I know if I was sitting ringside, I would have ducked for cover. Oh my God, that was not a fun spot to watch. Yes. And it got worse after that.
It really
What's
did.
a death match without fluorescent light tubes?
By the way, MJF did say after that Frankensteiner, he's fine, folks. He's fine.
God damn.
Jeez.
Tell me wrestling is fake.
It's Nick Gage.
Fucking tell me wrestling is fake again.
So, at this point, yes, the light tubes come into play, and I believe these were gimmicks because, like, if you've ever seen one of these light tubes before, they have a bunch of chemicals in there that can give you cancer. So I'm sure that these light tubes were gimmicks, like, way before the match, so that the phosphorus was taken out and all that, so they didn't inhale it on accident. But Jericho sprays some Muda mist into Nick Gage's eyes, and then the light tubes right over Nick Gage's head. Jericho hits the Judas effect. My God, this was a spectacle.
Well, before we get to that, Gage connects with the light tubes first. He smashes, I think, 2 over Jericho's head.
Jeez.
And then he goes and gets more light tubes that are taped together, smashes those over Jericho, and then he takes the sharp part of one of the fragments and then starts stabbing it in the head of Jericho. And that's when, I'm not going to lie, I was going to puke at that point.
Yeah,
that was absolutely disgusting. Yes.
Thank God this wasn't an eye for an eye match, right?
Oh, dear God. Don't give Gage that idea. He'll actually scoop out the eye and eat it. Nick Gage is a nasty motherfucker.
He is.
But yeah, like, the Buddha Mist into the Judas effect.
I was just going to say that Nick Gage basically makes the Sandman from ECW look like a cuddly teddy bear. Like,
absolutely, he does. And after Jericho hit the Judas effect, I said out loud, I don't care if you're Nick Gage, nobody kicks out of the Judas effect.
No.
Jericho wins the death match. Say that again. Jericho wins the death match.
This type of match, I gave this like 3.5. I had a lot of fun watching it. This type of match is an acquired taste, ladies and gentlemen. Hardcore wrestling is kind of a lost art at this point. Jericho came to play in a game out of his element. And let me just say that Nick Gage is a gem. He absolutely is. Like,
I like this match. I don't want to see it all the time though.
No.
This is the equivalent. You know how we talk about junk food wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
This is the equivalent of eating a triple-decker, 5-story high chocolate cake. Should you do it? No. Once every 10 years, go for it. You only live once. Deathmatch wrestling, I don't want to see it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Once in a great while.
I don't want to see it all the time, especially, and I'll get to my my nitpick about this match in just a second, but excuse me. This was barbaric. It was bloody. It was everything you'd want in a death match, but I kind of take exception to the fact that this was the main event of a show titled Fight for the Fallen, as in dead. So it's a little bit insensitive if you think about it in hindsight, but I mean, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm sure a lot of people are going to not really think about that all that much and not think about the subtitle, but like this show is titled Fight for the Fallen. It was all over their Tron. So, and they're doing a death match.
Absolutely. Also, if you would have told me in 2018 that Nick Gage was going to lose to Zack Ryder and Chris Jericho in the same week, I would have thought you were fucking nuts. But here we are in 2021.
Who predicted that?
In the span of 1 week, Gage drops the GCW title to Matt Cardona and then goes to AEW and loses to Chris Jericho. What a time. What a time to be alive.
Absolutely. And what a time to be alive for MJF, who is loving life, but he is livid at the end of this match. And he announces labor number 3 for next week at Homecoming, which is an excellent segue from MJF and Jericho's entire history. And they cut back to an episode before Full Gear, before Jericho's title defense against Cody, when he looks MJF dead in the eyes and he says, "You look like Juventud Guerrera's, secret love child," or something like that. Google it.
I think he said, "Your parents were getting it on while I was fighting Juventud Guerrera in WCW. Oh, you don't know who he is? You should probably Google him." And that's when MJF says, "Well, you know what? I did Google him." And next week, now this stipulation sounds like
it's kind
of mission in Day of Reckoning.
Oh,
for the GameCube.
My God. That's because what you meant by that text.
Yeah. So Jericho has to face Juventud Guerrera.
Right.
That's right. Juvi is coming back to America in the first time on TNT. I think MJF said in 15 years.
So it's going to be so good to see him regardless of how long it's been. But
Juventud Guerrera versus Chris Jericho in 2021. Again, what a world we live in right now. But the stipulation is Jericho can only win with a top rope maneuver.
And Jericho does not really have a top rope maneuver, does he? I mean, he can
probably. So let me get this straight. In the second labor of Jericho, Jericho defeated the king of the death match on his first try. And you mean next week all he has to do is do a flippy move on his senior citizen? Sounds like an easy night to me.
Yep, it sounds like, yeah. Well, of course Jericho would need a break after a fucking death match, but yeah, I'm very excited to watch that. I'm very excited to watch Malachi Black versus Cody next week at Homecoming. Malachi Black better win, but in any regard, folks, Fight for the Fallen, great episode of Dynamite. Probably going to be remembered mostly for this main event. 7.5, 7.75 out of 10 for me. What do you think?
Jericho had to defeat Shawn Spears. Then he had to defeat Nick Gage. Now he has to fight Juventud. And I'm telling you, man, the last labor of Jericho, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. And the last labor, Jericho has to defeat Mansoor. I don't think he can do it. He's the most overpowered wrestler.
Because he's undefeated. Oh my God. I mean,
I don't think Jericho can do it. I don't think Jericho can beat.
Hold on a second. If they can sign Mansoor for one night only, so like MJF can be like, yeah, you better make sure you beat him, or else you're not getting paid. Like, Nick Gage is gonna fucking murder him whenever he hears this commentary. But I mean, in any case, yeah. What do you think? Great episode of Dynamite, huh?
It was a very fun episode of Dynamite. It was very different. Like I said, the death match was very disgusting to watch. I don't want to see it all the time for what it was. It was fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this overall was a good episode. Definitely some things to think about going in the next few weeks. A lot's happening in AEW. You got Homecoming coming up next week. We have Rampage that's going to debut. And if our predictions are correct, the second episode should be insane.
It should be, with CM Punk for sure, getting everybody's attention now after 2 losses in UFC. But beside the point, you also have, you know, of course, SummerSlam. I think we have an NXT takeover as well with Karrion Kross versus the returning Samoa Joe. You also get Walter versus Ilya Dragunov too, where it looks like Walter might be losing the title there. But again, that's another story for another time. Yeah.
If you had not seen Dragunov Walter 1, that was my match of the year last year. I can't wait to see it again.
So good.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but got all that to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and much, much more, in addition to all of my cinema talk. Tomas, once again, thank you all so much for joining us. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, as well as that thumbs up button. It really helps get this content out there. Yeah, guys, I guess that wraps it up. With all that being said, commence that back talk, and we'll see you next time.